Every business has an ambition. PayPal Open is the platform designed to help you grow into yours. With business loans so you can expand and access to hundreds of millions of PayPal customers worldwide. And your customers can pay all the ways they want with PayPal, Venmo, Pay Later, and all major cards, so you can focus on scaling up. When it's time to get growing, there's one platform for all business. PayPal Open. Grow today at paypalopen.com. Loans subject to approval in available locations.
People really don't know what their expenses will be because they don't know how long that they're going to live.
Americans are worried they won't have enough saved for retirement now more than ever.
Retirement is going to cost for many folks over $1 million.
Is no sure thing in investing, but a lot of people think that annuities may come close to that.
It's going to more safe things that they know if they know they're going to need that money to supplement their retirement, well, then you can't play that risk.
This is the Safe Money and Retirement Show with Jon Heischman Sr., founder and partner of Heischman Financial Services, serving the Columbus and surrounding areas. Jon specializes in educating pre-retirees and retirees about safe money strategies and ideas. Now, it's the Safe Money and Retirement Show. Here's Jon Heischman Sr.
The decision about when to begin receiving Social Security retiree benefits may be the most significant decision in the retirement income planning process. Let's talk about that this morning on the Safe Money and Retirement Show. Welcome. I'm Jon Heischman. I'm glad you took the time to listen to my show. Very important to make the correct decision as to starting your Social Security retirement income. If you live until your exact life expectancy, there's no advantage of delaying receipt of benefits or starting early because all will be equal. Determining a retiree's longevity, however, is one of the big unknowns in retirement planning, which makes it difficult to determine the ideal start date. A retiree needs to frame the decision of whether to file for Social Security retirement benefits as an insurance decision. Why is that? Well, Social Security works like an annuity. It provides needed protection against the longevity risk and the risk of outliving one's money. In fact, Social Security could be the best annuity available because it is inflation adjusted and it's guaranteed by the government. Tough decision. This decision isn't a one-fits-all. I think retirees need to consider a number of factors, including whether they're still going to be employed and will be impacted by the earned income penalty or marital status, health, personal wealth, personal risk tolerance, and investment savvy will also need to be considered. I have to take all these different factors into consideration when advising the best time for each individual to start their Social Security retirement benefits. For someone to say, take it as early as possible, or to wait until age 70, doesn't know your detailed situation, or, as I mentioned earlier, all the factors that will help you make the right decision. If you're getting ready to retire, or as many early retirees are in a situation where they have not started their Social Security, you should have your situation reviewed with a plan where we can determine what is best for you. And I know a lot of times it could seem difficult situation, but I don't think it really is. And that's why I've helped many determine what's best for them, because I find out all the factors and I know their situation. Therefore, I can advise correctly, accurately with their plan. 888-426-0177. That's the number to contact me if you're at the point of deciding when to take your Social Security benefit. 888-426-0177. Why claim early? Well, first and most importantly, some will have no choice but to begin their Social Security benefits at age 62 due to lack of other sources of income. And this is when planning is very simple, because there are those that have no other sources of income. So it's kind of a no-brainer as to when to start it. The challenge of funding the bridge period between retirement and the beginning of Social Security benefits cannot be underestimated. Individuals need to balance the positive of buying a larger inflation-adjusted income source in the future with the need for current income. That's what we have to calculate. Others, they're hesitant to spend down their retirement savings early in retirement, as that will result in less liquidity, which is very important in retirement in their later years, and they'll have less money to leave their heirs. Some retirees, due to poor health, are not concerned with protecting against longevity. And it may turn out that age 62 makes the most sense. Some believe their personal investments can outperform the approximately 8% annual delayed retirement credits provided by Social Security. This could be a very dangerous assumption, and I feel must be pointed out and calculated, because to beat that 8% roll-up, we have to look at what are the odds that you're going to get an 8% return year after year for, say, the next 8 years. The main point is don't rely on what your friend, relative, or neighbor did. The odds are they're in a totally different situation, and their decision or their advice probably isn't the right advice for you. I think it's critical to work with an advisor that knows Social Security, that gets to know your situation and work with you to determine when is the best time to start your benefits. And of course, that's what I do. All right. Why delay? Aside from the obvious benefit associated with increased payments due to the accumulation of delayed retirement credits, deferring receipt of Social Security income, it has a number of additional benefits. And I think one of the best examples is the compounding cost of living adjustment. They call it COLAs. Another example is the reduction in one's overall investment risk and investment experience, because self-managed accounts typically are drawn down early in retirement. Delaying can also be a tax-savvy strategy for those who decide to delay. It's so important to get it right at the beginning. And if you don't and you realize it in a short period of time, you can come back and make a change. But that really doesn't happen that often. And when a retiree realizes that they've made a mistake on claiming too early, for example, it's too late to make that change. Those of you that tuned in to my show last week where I talked about early retirement, and one of the problems was health insurance cost. And that's if you retire prior to age 65. The same could be said for taking Social Security benefits early at age 62 and retiring. You'll have 3 years before Medicare picks up your health care cost. And in the meantime, that individual policy that you're going to have to purchase is going to be extremely expensive. So many, because of that one reason, they're going to delay benefits until age 65. And I've done a lot of planning in that particular situation to where we determine where the income is going to come from. You might say to bridge that gap to cover health insurance premiums until age 65. So the bottom line here is one size doesn't fit all. Be careful of the advice you get, but make sure that you talk to an advisor that knows Social Security, the coverages, and when is the best time for you, taking everything else into consideration to start your benefits. And that's why I'd like for you to contact me, especially if you're not working with an advisor that just doesn't do retirement planning. Maybe he or she only does investment planning. 888-426-0177. There's your number, 888-426-0177. I want you to stay tuned, and I'm going to continue my discussion after the break. I will return shortly.
Thanks for listening to the Safe Money and Retirement Show with Jon Heischman. For more information, call 1-888-426-0177. That's 1-888-426-0177. Or visit their website at HeischmanFS.com. More of the Safe Money and Retirement Show in a moment.
Avoiding mistakes can save owners of IRAs, 401ks, and TSP plans, as well as other retirement plans, a fortune in taxes, penalties, fees, and loads. These potential mistakes are addressed in the free book entitled Top 10 IRA Mistakes. This is Jon Heischman from the Safe Money and Retirement Show, offering a complimentary copy by calling 888-426-0177. Again, that's 888-426-0177.
Welcome back to the Safe Money and Retirement Show with Jon Heischman. To contact Jon, the number to call is 1-888-426-0177. That's 1-888-426-0177. Once again, here's Jon Heischman.
Welcome back to the second half of the Safe Money and Retirement Show. I'm your host, Jon Heischman. I appreciate my listeners as well as their feedback and request for information. the book that I offer, Top 10 IRA Mistakes, is, I think, a must-read for those getting ready to retire. It's my gift to you for listening. No cost, no obligation. So request your copy by calling 888-426-0177. 888-426-0177. As a continuation of the first part of the show, in determining when to take your Social Security income, it's important to know your estimated life expectancy. For example, a man reaching age 65 today can expect to live on average until 84.3 years. And a woman retiring at age 65 today can expect to live on average until age 86.6. About 1 out of every 4 65-year-olds today will live past age 90. 1 out of every 10 age 65-year-olds will live past 95. Individuals can get an estimate of how long they are likely to live by using life expectancy calculators. It's available on the Social Security website. Or if you'd like to receive a copy, I'll be happy to send it to you. Just call the number that I give you throughout the show. But it's important, remember, these figures are just an average, 50%. They're going to live beyond these averages. And these figures, they don't take into consideration such factors as current health, lifestyle, family history, all of which could increase or decrease life expectancy. When evaluating life expectancy for a couple, we always want to plan for the partner who is likely to live the longest. The probability that one member of that couple is going to reach 92, it's right around 50%, which is a percentage that doesn't take into consideration lifestyle factors that could push that percentage even higher. In retirement planning, I always want to plan income for the oldest age and tack on 5 years in correlation with Social Security because it's real simple. I don't want my clients to run out of money because of a miscalculation of life expectancy. And again, it's nice to have tables, but you have to keep in mind that's just an average. And from a planning standpoint, each retiree needs to go beyond what that average expectancy age is. I want to talk a little bit about calculating the break-even age. And you've all heard someone say, I might as well take Social Security early because I have to live to an old age to break even compared to if I wait until age 70. The break-even age, that's the age at which the total number of the higher benefits the retiree is going to receive from delaying equals the total amount of the lower benefits that they will have received at that point from starting early. It may sound a little bit complicated, but it's easy to calculate. And of course, I can help you with that. Now, this is without trying to adjust for inflation. It's a simple calculation that is often used for retirees that determine whether they should begin or delay Social Security benefits. But you need to keep in mind there is problems with this simple break-even analysis, and I want to touch on a couple of those. And the first is we cannot know for certain the individual's actual life expectancy. Second, do you have a spouse which has a need for survivor benefits? If this is the case, delaying to increase this benefit makes sense regardless of each individual's own life expectancy. This consideration is often ignored by the break-even approach. And I think this approach also ignores the insurance component of Social Security as well as the benefits associated with transferring one's longevity risk. And third, and perhaps what I think is the most important, this approach assumes that the individual is retired. It does not take into consideration lost earnings and benefits the person would give up if they choose to actually retire based on the break-even analysis. So we can determine the approximate break-even point, but as mentioned, I need to go beyond that. Other considerations need to be taken into the income plan design. When I talk to a potential new client, referral, or radio listener, I have heard many times that they wish they had delayed taking their Social Security income benefit. I have also heard that they wished they would have taken their Social Security benefit starting at age 62. So I can't stress enough the importance of determining that magic age based on each individual's situation. Not what you read, not what you hear, but your situation. And if you're thinking about taking Social Security, which means you're probably around age 61 or earlier, and you want to get an idea of where you're at. Am I retirement ready from a financial standpoint? What does the picture look like? What's it going to look like in 3 years, 5 years, 7 or 10? I can help you project that based on your situation at this time. So don't guess. Take advantage of a free consultation about your income, including Social Security. Please call me at 888-426-0177. Let me give you that number again, 888-426-0177. One other element to consider would be the income taxation of assets spent to fund, let's say, a 2-year bridge, and also the taxes due to the first 2 years of Social Security benefits. So when I say a bridge gap, that's taking income to bridge the time period that you're delaying Social Security. First of all, the Social Security benefits would be subject to income tax, but the most that would actually be taxed is 85% of the Social Security income you receive. Then we also have to look at assets used to fund. Let's say 2-year bridge would also have important income tax ramifications. Let me give you a quick example. money withdrawn from a traditional IRA or non-Roth 401k would face taxation on 100% of that withdrawal. On the other hand, assets like a qualified Roth IRA distributions, or let's say a reverse mortgage, would be totally income tax free. Or if you're fortunate enough to have non-qualified money, only the interest would be taxed, not the principal. So once you get into the principal, it's another tax-free source of income. So we need to look at discussing the factors that one should consider when deciding whether to file for Social Security benefits. What's the break-even age? What are the earned income restrictions? Whether you're single, married, will all have a bearing. So I'd like to hear from you in reference to your Social Security planning. Remember, each individual is different. It has to be based on your situation. Okay, I'm at the end of my time for the show this morning. It goes quickly. I wish we had another couple of hours to where I could give you some more information, but I don't. So questions, concerns, request book information, 888-426-0177. Again, I want to thank you for joining me, and be sure to tune in next week to the Safe Money and Retirement Show.
The Safe Money and Retirement Show with Jon Heischman Sr. To get in touch with Jon, call 1-888-426-0177. That's 1-888-426-0177. For more information about Heischman Financial Services, visit their website, HeischmanFS.com. That's HeischmanFS.com. Join us again next time for the Safe Money and Retirement Show with Jon Heischman Sr.